what I wanted to say was in that chord change there. Well, that chord you just mentioned, that where you just played, I had a conversation with Brad of Crash Test Dummies because in that song in the chorus, they'd always must have gone there. You know that song?
No, I don't know. I only know
that song. That's the song I'm talking about. And in the chorus, he goes, "There's a note where he holds it on there, and it's this and it's that chord. He calls it the devil's chord, and it's funny you brought it up.
There you go.
Chord, yeah.
It's a tension. It wakes you up for a minute, and you go, "What?" And, and then it resolves.
Oh, it's so beautiful. When the writing of that song, like, is that one of those you're just sitting? Or how does that song come to you?
So that was one of the ones I wrote with Andy Partridge.
XTC,
yeah. That was written during our first, I believe, because we did like 2 major songwriting sessions on Zoom. And I believe the first session we wrote, Hey, 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 aren't you the one? We wrote a song I had that didn't make the album. I believe we wrote 4th of July and Shoot Out the Stars on that session. So when we got together, we each brought a song idea because nobody wants to show up empty-handed, to a songwriting session in case there's like dead air. You're like, what do you do? I don't know. So I brought this song that didn't make the album called The Theory of Attraction, but it'll probably be on my next album. And Andy brought Hey, Hey, Are You the One? And then he said, you got any titles? And I said, yeah. And I started reading him a list of titles, and I can't remember all the other titles, but I said, Shoot Out the Stars. And he went, ooh, that's a good one. So, and he picked up his guitar and started playing.
Oh, this is awesome.
And he started singing this melody. And then I added those are my 2 chords.
God, I love this.
And then I wrote the next part. Slingshot, Susie gonna let it fly. To me, that's like some pop song from 70s AM radio. Like, that's what I grew up with, so.
I know what it reminds me of. Herman's Hermits.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. Something good.
I'm in the sun.
Yeah. I'm in the sun. It's actually not their song. I think an R&B artist did it first.
Oh, that's
anyway, yes. I realized later that I kind of ripped it from there. But,
music is
nothing new under the sun.
No, I mean, music is something we share.
And besides, when you're playing a tough guitar rock and roll song and you're quoting Herman's Hermits, it doesn't go together. So it's a cool juxtaposition,
It really is. But that, I'm telling you, I'm so glad you pulled out the guitar and showed how that was. Here's another one I wanted to play from your record that I want to highlight with our time that we have. So again, going through it, it's getting down to the Steve in alphabetical order. So I did Shoot Out the Stars. And now I want to do, come on now. There's another one off the record, and I'm about to pull it up here. If it'll cooperate. I think this is it. One last bell is ringing out. Take your final walkabout. Time to shut it down. A dying town won't see daylight. No prayers for that friend. Grab the rope, don't you lose your grip. Quasimodo, baby, let it rip. 'Cause they're down Another phenomenon. I'm
Thank
telling
you. That's another Partridge co-write.
Really? Ah, so you guys are dynamite. Look at that.
So if you have the album in order, the first 5 songs with that side A of the vinyl, or tracks 1 through 5 on the CD or the streaming service,
Right.
are the Conte Partridge co-writes. And he insisted that I put my name first. I wanted to put his name first, but he said, no, my name doesn't have he goes, that'll stop the flow of the 2 names. He says, my name put the stop on things. Partridge, Conte, Conte, Partridge, flow. And I went, yeah, you're kind of right. But, the first 5 songs are Conte Partridge songs, and the last 5 songs, or side B of the album, are Conte songs.
Ah, well, maybe that'll lead into the next. Well, getting back to One Last Spell, again, I love just the whole melodic thing to that song.
That's Andy. Andy,
Oh, it's beautiful.
this was one of the ones where he said, because we were trying to, have ways of, coming up with ideas. You don't just want to sit there on a Zoom and go, what do you want to do? So, so he's like, what's a song you wish you had written? And I said, King Midas in Reverse by the Hollies.
Really?
Yeah. And he was like, that's a good one. And I don't know if it's in this key, but he started playing this. And this is an F chord with an open G string. And he said, so it's a F add 9 or sus2, whatever you want to call it for you guitar players out there or musicians. He said, sounds like a bell. Now this is the way that Andy thinks and writes. Very visual, and there's a word for it, and I can't think of it. It's people who see visuals when they hear music.
Clairvoyant?
No, it's not mystical or anything. It's like aphasia, I think it's called, or something, like where you see color, you hear colors, or you see music, but he sees pictures in his mind when he hears music. So he played this after I said King Midas in Reverse, and he went, sounds like a bell. And he goes, and he started playing this tempo, and he said it should be a nursery rhyme kind of melody. It should be like, I said, that's great. And he goes, yeah, it should be about a bell. What can we have to do about a bell? One last bell is ringing out. Literally, he sang that line. And we took off from there. And I wrote the bridge. No plans for your final trip. That's my whole bit.
Beautiful.
And we wrote the lyrics together.
Beautiful.
And I just started thinking, I started visualizing. I tried to think like him, which is difficult for me. I'm not him, he's very unique. But I started seeing these pictures in my mind of old Europe. Like I started thinking Notre Dame, and then that Quasimodo line came to me. And I was like, oh, Andy's probably going to hate that. And he loved it.
Love it. Oh.
Yeah. So I came up with some weird lyrics like on this record, like the Quasimodo line I thought he was going to hate. Also in 4th of July, I said, your love is matches for a pyromaniac. I thought, he's going to hate that. Nope, he loved it. Like the weirder, the better. Anything I thought he was going to hate, he liked.
There you go. You just never know how people are going to interpret it. One more before you go, because I know that sounds like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. One last song before you go.
Oh, yeah. Remember that record.
What a great
It was their last album, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1979 or something? Just a song ago?
He wrote that song in like 5 minutes.
It's Graham Nash, isn't it?
Yes. Or Stephen Stills. I think it's either Graham Nash or Stephen Stills. One of them.
It sounds like Graham's voice on it, but
yeah, you might be right. It was one of those. He was in an airport terminal, and he took out his guitar, and that's what he came up with. It. Now here is the last one I want to play. Is coming up. Hold on one second, and then we'll let you get.
Could it be one from side B? Let's see.
It is. I believe it is. Here it comes.
Found what you hope to find, but
God, do I love that song.
That's a good one.
That's my
It is.
favorite
It is a good one. Yeah, that's one of mine. I've had that song lying around for quite a few years. And what I do when I make an album, I try and get a core of, core songs. Like, all right, what are the ones that I'm going to build the album around? And since I just asked Andy Partridge to write one song with me, and we ended up writing 8 songs, right? So 3 of them are yet unfinished and unreleased, which will probably be in my next album. But the 5 that made the record that got finished were Shoot Out the Stars, Hey, Hey, Aren't You the One, 4th of July, One Last Bell, and We Like It. And so I knew, all right, what is the vibe of this album? Sounding kind of 60s, kind of power pop.
Yep.
Kind of also 70s, kind of retro in a way. And so I dug into my back catalog or looked for in my back catalog of demos, not of released songs, obviously, to find songs that went along with it, felt like they belonged on the same album. And songs like Motor City Love Machine were from 1983. Yeah, I have some really old songs on there. I rewrote the lyrics and made it,
Yeah.
It was not a great song back then, but the music was great. So I changed the lyrics. And this one was pretty much as it was. I had a demo, and I usually run my songs by, I have a co-producer. We weren't in the same room, but a guy named Andrew Hollander, keyboard player, great musician and composer. He does a lot of film scoring and composing for stuff like that. And I was in a band with him called Mr. Henry. He is co-produced he produced the Conte's album that I did with my brother back in 2003. Bleed Together, it was called. And then we worked on Bronx Cheer together. And that was pre-COVID. So now, this record started in 2021, so we weren't able to get in the same room. So I just sent him a folder full of songs. And I said, well, here's the Partridge songs I want to include. And, I need to pick 5 more. Give me your list of, your favorites. And he sent me back a list, and All Tied Up was in there. And I went, oh, great, because I like that song. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. It's almost Motown. It's almost Beatles. It's, so.
You can't beat that bridge. You want to call it a bridge, or the outro, the whole clapping where the music stops and it's just the clapping and the harmonies. It's gorgeous. And then the music kickbacks in.
Thank you.
Things of music. That is beautiful. That's why I played that part. Listening to it.
Thank you. Well, yeah, and I thought the message was kind of important because, it's kind of about, selfish dudes who are kind of keeping their girl hanging on when they're not, when they know it's over, but they always have some excuse. Oh, I can't let her go yet. She'll be too upset, or, oh, she's about to graduate. I can't let her down now. She'll fail all her class. Whatever excuses guys give. And, in my past, I've been there. I've let things go too long. So I could relate to it. I was talking to myself and to other people, to, do the right thing, brother. Let the girl go. If it's, if you know that it's not what you want, don't be selfish.
Exactly. No, that's fantastic. Great message with a great song. And that's what I mean. Those are just 3 off this record. I mean, the whole record's great, but when I'm thinking of things to showcase different things about the song, like the music, those 3 just, when you put an album on, were the ones that made me play them back over and over again, especially All Tied Up. When I got to that whole part with the clapping and the harmonies, I must have listened to that 100 times in a row, just playing that part over and over again.
Great.
That's what music does to me. And I know a lot of people that listen, they always say the same thing. So I really thank you, Steve. Thanks. I did want to ask a couple things. One, Michael Monroe. I know a lot of people, like I know somebody that was huge fans of his punk band that he had.
Hanoi. 23.
Right. And I had him on the show, and he's such a great dude. Is he? He's got to be great to collaborate with and play with, right?
He's probably the best front man I've ever with. He's just phenomenal on stage. I mean, he does splits, throws the mic around his neck. I mean, he climbs up on the balconies. I mean, he's like an animal. It's a great show.
What's your favorite Michael Monroe story, like of experiences you had with him? What's one that stands out? Because I know there's people that love him, and they're going to love to hear this.
I mean, I've been playing with the guy for 14 years, which is crazy. It's like the longest band I've ever played in my life. Besides, well, I could even say it's longer than playing with my brother, because we went on and off. We started our first band, my brother and me, when we were like 10 years old.
10?
Yeah, I was 11. He was 10.
What was he playing instrument-wise?
Well, when we started out, he was the guitar player and I was the drummer.
Oh.
And then I picked up his guitar one day and realized that I could write songs. I just didn't know what I was doing. I picked up his guitar and I said, whoa, I can't be stuck behind the drums if I'm going to write songs and sing.
Did you start playing the drums?
Well, I'll get to that.
Because it's almost like Alex and Eddie's story.
Yeah. So I switched to, I still played drums, but I went to guitar and I started taking guitar lessons, and I zoomed past him. I became like a better guitar player. He had been taking lessons for a couple of years, and I just the guitar made sense to me. I just figured out stuff, and then he said, well, screw it, I'll switch to bass. So he switched to bass, which was the greatest thing he ever did, because he is a phenomenal bass player. And then I taught him to play drums, and so that we could switch back and forth. And he's a great drummer. Might be a better drummer than me. And, neither one of us really play on records or anything. He might have played on some. I think he had a band with Southside Johnny called the Poor Fools that he played drums on. But, so that's how that got started. But we, getting back to how long we played together, we played together from like age 10 till our last band we had together was, we were in our 30s, so it was over 20 years. So, and then we just started working with other people. I went to the Dolls, and he went to Southside, and and then we've been on and off, and we just played together last night here in Manhattan. But we don't have an active project together. We had Company of Wolves together, of course, Mercury Records in 1990. Yeah, we've been on and off for
so Michael's your
50 years,
second, outside of the kid you grew up with.
Yeah, 14 years with Michael, and it would be hard to think of one particular story in 14 years because there's many. Well, putting me on the spot here, bro.
Hey, man. Well, it's only because I know people that who are just massive fans of him, and I know because he did a thing with Alice Cooper, and we were talking about that once.
Which thing? Because
I think right. It was for his birthday. He came out. I think Alice came out and sang "Happy Birthday" with him. It was one of those deals.
I remember that, but we did tour with Alice a couple of summers ago, and his birthday's in the summer, so that might have happened. I don't remember. But, we've opened for Alice. We have joined Alice. Michael and I have joined Alice on stage for Schools Out a couple of times.
Yep.
Alice pulled my hair and shoved the microphone down my throat during my solo on Schools Out. There's photos that exist of it somewhere out there on the internet. We've just, we've been through a lot together. We started, the first thing we did after we got together in 2010 was we made a live album. We'd only been a band for a couple of months, and we had the balls to make a live album of, it was songs from Michael's back catalog at that point. We hadn't written anything new. So it was like Hanoi, it was Demolition 23, it was stuff from his solo albums. That was called Another Night in the Sun, live in Helsinki. And then we did the record with Ginger Wildheart, called Sensory Overdrive, and then Ginger left, and Dragon from the Backyard Babies and Helicopters came in, and Ginger wrote a lot of the songs on that first Sensory Overdrive album, and then when he left, everybody was like, oh, we lost our main songwriter, and I was like, hello, I'm right here.
can do it.
They're like, who are we going to get to write songs? And I'm like, how about this one, Ballad of the Lower East Side, which is Michael's biggest song. I brought that into the band. I wrote that. And the band, that was a great band because we jammed a lot. We would jam, and I would take the jams home, and I'd write lyrics and melodies to the songs. So I wrote a lot of that stuff on that album, Horns and Halos. And then Dragan left the band, and then Rich Jones came in, and I think the next album was Blackout States, and we wrote a lot together, me and Rich. And then we did One Man Gang, and Rich did a lot of the writing on his own. I think I had maybe one or two songs on it. And the last one, Live Too Fast to Die Young, was kind of the same. And we do have a new album coming out. We're mixing it at the moment. And it's kind of more of a band effort. We jammed and I wrote lyrics and melodies to some of these things, and Rich did too. There's a lot of Rich Jones songs, a few of my songs. So we've done a lot of stuff. And then the touring, we started touring with Motorhead the first year that we were together with Ginger. We also toured with Alice. And we played gigs with everybody. We played gigs with Slash. We played gigs with Guns N' Roses. I'm trying to remember what other big bands. But, actual tours, we've really done Alice and Motorhead. But a lot of individual, like whenever Guns N' Roses would come to Helsinki, we'd open for them or Slash. And then we actually did a couple of dates with Guns N' Roses in London a few years ago at the stadium, a football stadium.
You think about defining rock and roll or maybe even metal, like in the old school metal, of the attitude. I think Lemmy qualifies as in the top 5 of pure hardcore, what a rock and roll hard rocker is.
He certainly lived that lifestyle, man. I learned a lot of things about him. The reason why he would have his mic up like this and sing like this.
Yeah, why?
Because he did a lot of speed. He was a freaking speed freak. And he'd get the drip coming down his nose if his head was up like that. He'd just keep getting high throughout the performance,
He's just, now I know why.
Yeah. And, yeah, he was quite a guy. I really liked him a couple of times. He came into the studio and sang on our first album as well, the first Monroe album.
One of my favorite Motorhead songs ever is a ballad, "Love Me Forever." It's an actual ballad. You think
I don't know that one.
Ballad? Yeah, they have a ballad, and I love that song. Called "Love Me Forever."
I like the version of "Shaking Too Much." He does with Girl School.
Yeah.
Girl School Girl.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, that's why the reason I bring up like the Michael Monroe's stories is, again, just the amount of people that love him. Now, you also the New York Dolls. How about that? A memory while performing or in New York Dolls that stands out to you?
Let me just go back to Michael for 1 second. What I would say is come and make your own story, Michael Monroe's story, because we are touring the U.S. finally after 8 years. Or 9 years, we are coming back. We're playing L.A., we're playing the Whiskey, the Rainbow, a couple other California gigs, Vegas, New York. I can't remember the dates, but go to michaelmonroe.com and you'll see all the tour dates. And come to the shows and see
own memory. Yes.
Come to the shows, see for yourself. Sometimes I hope we will, because I'm always down for this. We come out to the merch stand after and sign CDs sometimes. I can't guarantee it. Depends on Michael's mood, but I'm always down for it. I'm not one of those guys. If I'm sick or something,
No, sick or,
But if I'm tired and sweaty, I don't care. I go out to the merch stand and sign stuff. Surely...
I bet you had your share of technical guitar issues on stage. I'll tell you that right.
What happened?
I bet you've had your share of technical guitar issues, like guitar.
Oh, yeah. I've had amps blow up while I was playing. I've had, not too often string breaks, but once in a while. But, the amps. Yeah, in fact, the second time I played with Alice Cooper, we had Ryan Roxy, his guitar player, came up and joined us. Oh, no, that's what it was. Ryan came up and played with us, and my amp, I think we played Dead Jail Rock and Roll. And, I play a lot of the solos on that. And my amp just died right away on the very first note of the song. And so pretty much I was just up there, air guitaring with Ryan playing the leads. So yeah, there are technical difficulties, but you roll with it.
Well, I can tell you that I think you just said it best. I think people need to come out and come see the performance and make their own memories right now.
Yeah. And as for the dolls, I don't know what you're.
I was going to say, if you had a memory of playing with the dolls, like a memory that stands out to you.
Oh, we had, that was, it was only 6 years by comparison to Michael, 14. But, I mean, the very first gig I did with them was like surreal. We played the Royal Festival Hall, and that was when Arthur Killer Kane was still alive. It was the first Dolls reunion gig, and the first gig in 30 years. And it was, David and Sylvain and Arthur and me and Gary Powell from the Libertines on drums and David's pal Brian Coonan on keyboards. And, Royal Festival Hall is phenomenal and, much respected place. I mean, Maria Callas sang there, opera. It's like the revered, joint. And, to use two words that don't belong together. The crowd that showed, so we were supposed to be one show, but the one show sold out immediately. And it was part of Morrissey's Meltdown. There's a thing called the Meltdown Festival that they do in England every year. And every year a different artist curates it. I mean, it's like a week-long thing, and they bring in their favorite bands. So this year was Morrissey, and that was 2004. And I guess David had been asked throughout the years, you were going to put the Dolls back together. He always said no. But for some reason, this time, Morrissey asked, and Morrissey was the self-appointed president of the New York Dolls fan club when he was 15 years old.
Out of here.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Yeah. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but David acquiesced and said, all right, I'll do it. I'll put the Dolls together. And,
that's a good impression.
So, he just asked me to do one gig. He said, do you want to, called me up, said, you want to do this one gig? And I said, sure. Well, we met and we, had lunch. We didn't play a note of music together. He just he knew my reputation. He asked guitar players around town, who should I call? And they all said, call Conte. Don't call anybody else. He's got the right hair. He's got the right nose.
Perfect word.
It's Italian. Yeah. Gibson player, like Johnny Genzali.
Check.
So,
check.
Thunders. So, so when we did this gig, couldn't believe. So the first gig sold out in an hour or 2 hours, whatever. So they had to add another night. So I think the first gig was booked on a Friday, and they had to add the Wednesday before it as a second show. And Morrissey had put his favorite bands on these bills. One night it was Sparks. One night it was Nancy Sinatra. I can't remember who else, but I know it was Sparks and Nancy Sinatra.
Nice.
But when we got done with the gig, I remember there were train wrecks all over the place because, Sylvain was cueing endings and stuff. He would go like this, he wanted to go around again or go to the end or whatever his signals were. And the keyboard player, Brian Coonan, who David brought as the musical director, was also cueing at the same time. So there were all these miscues going on. Somebody who do I watch? Sylvain or Brian, So there were all kinds of.
You'd always be the drummer.
There, this one guy would end the song and somebody else would still keep playing. And so after the show, we're coming off stage and David puts his arm around me. He goes, what do you think, Stevie? I said, a lot of train wrecks. He goes, hey, it's what they expect. It's the Dolls. We get up to the dressing room and the dressing room's locked, but outside the door is Mick Jones from The Clash and Tony James from Sig Sig Sputnik. And I think he was in Generation X maybe. And, Jones sticks out his hand and he goes, I'm Mick Jones and my name is Mick Jones and you were fantastic. I was like, you know who you are, and then backstage, it was Chrissy Hynde was there. She came up to me and she was like, man, that was tough shoes to fill and you kicked ass. And and Shane McGowan and Bob Geldof, who I remained friends with and have done interviews for his documentaries and stuff since. Just, the stars that poured out. Don Letts, who was the DJ dude from that time at the Clash. All these people were there just like paying, respect to the Dolls. And it was like surreal, my first gig there, Royal Festival Hall, all these stars. I mean, I'd met stars before. I mean, some of these were my favorites, Chrissy Hines, and I was wearing leather pants, I remember, and suede boots. And she's like a PETA activist, people for the ethical treatment of animals.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, please don't look down. Oh, please don't look down. I was trying to maintain eye contact with her. Like, please don't look down at my pants and my shoes. And so, yeah, that was a phenomenal, and it was all downhill from there.
Well,
it was great. It was great because we those were the hits. We just did the songs from their first, 2 albums. There were only 2 albums, really, and a few covers, like a Shangri-La song, a Janis Joplin song. But then we started writing our own stuff, and we did, 2 studio albums that I had a bunch of songs on both, and we did a couple live albums.
Yeah. You know what it is about the Doll? No one looks at the Dolls for their musicianship as a whole. Like, it was the whole attitude. And I think that the thing is, as David pointed out, like, it's almost what you expect. You said there was train wrecks. It's more about the fact what made them so iconic was the attitude. And people just, it was also one of those things, how so there's some bands that are just cool to say you like them.
Yeah, of course.
But it's underground.
Yeah, well,
not the popular one. It's like, I love the New York Dolls. Yeah, I do too. And it's something you have as a close bond. It's not like popular. It's one of these things that make you pump.
Yeah, it's like people walking around with Doll shirts on. They can't name one song.
Right.
I've seen photos of Lindsay Lohan, the actress, with like a New York Doll shirt on. You think she's really a fan? I don't know, maybe. But it's a fashion statement, a Ramones shirt. Some people that have Ramones shirts don't know any of the songs. I guarantee it. It's just like, it's a fashion thing. They sell them in the mall. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get that.
Did you ever play CBGBs?
Oh, yeah. I played with my band, Company of Wolves, and the Dolls never played there back in the original days because they had broken up before CB. CB's kind of got going around 75, 76, really 75. And by 75, the Dolls were broken up. But when the CBs were still going, I hadn't played there in a long time. I played there with Company of Wolves in the 90s and late 80s. But I hadn't. I used to play CB's Gallery, which was like a next door place. Me and my brother, we had our band, the Crown Jewels. We used to play there all the time at the Gallery. But for the last week of CB's, which was in 2006, I can't remember what other bands they had. New York Dolls played the second to last night before CBGB's closed, and then Patti Smith played the last night. So that was the only time the Dolls played CBGB's.
It was not obviously a venue of stellar, aesthetics or anything. It was
It's a toilet.
It's the
don't
toilet.
Don't go near the toilet. You've probably seen photos of that.
Well, I watched the documentary on it too.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been there seeing shows, but it's more about when you think about how the origins of the music, that was like a mecca, if you will, you mentioned the Ramones, the Talking Heads, Blondie, and this
television, Richard Hell, the Voidoids,
Right. And so that's the thing. It's not about the venue, just represented this place where these things got started. And then that makes it special. You didn't go there for the sound. You didn't go there for the look. You went there.
Yeah. And again, like the Dolls and Ramones t-shirts, people have, CBGB's t-shirts get sold in the mall too. You know what I mean? And people never have been. I mean, obviously you see little kids walking around with CBGB shirts on, but half the adults that walk around with CBGB shirts have never been to CBGB.
Right. Yeah. Well, I grew up in New Jersey. I was there, and then one of my favorite venues, and I don't know if you ever played it, was Maxwell's in Hoboken.
Oh yeah, I played there.
I love that venue. I love that venue.
I played there with my band, Crazy Truth. I played there. Who did I play with? I remember getting up with Richie Rano. You remember the band Stars?
Yeah, I do.
I played Brother Louie because he was in the band Stories. That did She Was Black as the Night, Louie was whiter than white. I think I may have sang it.
Louie.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played on some like multi-band show, and I think I sat in with Richie and we did that song, and Joe X Doobie, the drummer from Stars, they were also in Stories together, I think. Yeah, so I played Maxwell's. I like that place.
It was well, the aesthetic, and this is, for people that don't know a little history, is the aesthetic was you had like a cafe in the front, and then it was like a secret room, like in the back. And that was the beauty of the place. Like, oh, where's the venue? Oh, it's through this door.
I like those kind of places. There's a lot of clubs. There's a place called the Earl in Atlanta that's like that. Yeah, I like the music back.
Like, you wouldn't know there was a venue in it. Like, if you
even like the Mercury Lounge in Manhattan is kind of like that. But I mean, the bar part is pretty small, so you know why you're there. You're there to see a band. It's not like you're gonna eat a meal. But
I love those places where you don't even, I think it's speakeasy almost. It's like you're in there and you don't even realize that there's a venue if you didn't know. That's what makes it special.
Yeah.
Like a band speakeasy. That's the beauty of it. But
where exactly are you?
I grew up, I live in Florida now, but I grew up in a town called Hackettstown, which was, I'm 46 there. In fact, there's a place in Stanhope called the Stanhope House that
Oh yeah. I played there with Robert Gordon.
Did you?
Yeah.
That my uncle's house was right next door. So I'd stay at his place and go over and watch shows at Stanhope House.
I may be playing there. We're still trying to solidify the date in early March, but I'm playing a string of dates with the Dictators, opening for them. And we're playing the Colony in Woodstock on February 28th. We're playing My Father's Place in Long Island on March 2nd. And March 1st is what we're working on, either Stanhope House or a place called Debonair Music Hall, which I'm not quite sure where that is, but one of those two places. But keep your eye on my website, steveconte.com, and you'll know about all the gigs.
I know friends that live there that will go. I'll just tell them, hey, Steve's going to be at Stanhope House. You got to be there. If you're there. Love that place. Well, Steve, thank you again. I love your music, as you can tell. And thank you for the stories and just taking time out of your life to talk to me. I truly
Sure, Don. Yeah, man, my pleasure. Anytime.
And I hope you do more rights with Andy. You guys do.
Well, I have, like I said, I have 3 left over. And they're not finished, so I need to get back with him. And the way it worked was we'd come up with the germ of an idea, and then I'd go away and I'd make a demo of it, and I'd put all the instruments on it and sing it, and I'd send it to him, and then he would say, oh, this line should change, that lyric's not quite right yet, and maybe make, the second chorus go double, or, it needs another section for the end, or whatever. And then I'd go back and I'd fix it up and I'd send it back to him. And, it was like back and forth like that. So these 3 songs that I have left, one is completely done already. We already know what that is, but I have 2 others that I'll be hopefully going back and forth with him on to finish.
Well, you two do really well together. So that's, I'm excited to hear what more you got, plus your stuff.
Thank you. And, I would just say to the listening audience, anything you want to find out about my records or gigs, you can get on my email list at my website, steveconte.com. That's CONTE.
Yeah.
And, I'm on all the usual socials. I'm on Bandcamp, where I sell my records. I sell signed copies of my vinyl and CDs there. And, all the streaming services and Amazon and I'm on, your Facebook and Instagrams and Threads and Blue Sky and Twitter and X and all that crap.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always
Steve.
I'm either Steve Conte or Steve Conte NYC on some of those platforms.
There you go. Well, go find him. Keeping up. He's on, and then also you heard about the exciting news about Michael Monroe's show. So, got to do it. I got to go see that. So, thank you, Steve.
All right, Don. Thank you.
Great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, man. And when this interview is up, post it, tag me, whatever, and I'll share it.
I absolutely will, man.
All right.
You were fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. All righty. Take care.
Yep. Have a good afternoon.